In the next 10 minutes, you are going to become a better photo retoucher. Once you bring our image to Photoshop, and by the way, if you want to follow along, I'll believe the link where you can download this software in the shop below. And also, I'll believe the link where you can download all the actions I used to retouch this image in the shop below as well. Once you open our image inside of Photoshop, the first question we ask is, where do I even start from? Well, the first place to start is by analyzing your image and actually removing the blemishes. So for this image, first I'm going to remove the blemishes. Before I start removing the blemishes, what you should take into consideration is don't work directly on the background layer. So the first thing I'm going to duplicate my background layer by pressing on Ctrl J to duplicate my background layer. Now we have two layers right here. Now it's time to remove the blemishes. Now there are a few ways or few tools which you can actually use to remove the blemishes from an image, but I'm going to show you the best way. And the best way is to focus separation to remove your blemishes. So all you have to do is come to your action. Now if you don't have my action, I believe in Liquid you can get my actions for free in the description below. Now to do that, after you duplicate your layer, just come to my action. After you finish installing the action, so just come to your action. If you can't find your action right here, just come to your windows and click on actions right here. It's just going to open up the actions for you. Now since this image is 16-bit, I'm going to use Teelens focus separation 16-bit. But if your image is 8-bit, just use Teelens focus separation 8-bit right here. So I'm going to play this 16-bit right here. Once I play this 16-bit, now for this image, I'm going to be using a Gaussian blur radius of 9 for this image. And for Gaussian blur radius, if you want your image to be smooth, use a lower blur radius. And if you want to retain texture or keep texture on your image, use a high blur radius. So I use 9 for this image. I'm going to click on OK. If you come to your layer tab right here, you can see we have different layers open. Now we have the low frequency, which consists of the colors. We have this brush layer, which is an empty layer. I'm going to get back to that in a bit. And also we have the high frequency, which consists of the texture. Now since we want to remove the blemishes, and the blemishes consist of textures, I'm just going to pick my close stamp tool right here. Once I pick my close stamp tool, make sure my high frequency copy layer is selected, which is this first one right here. And just make sure my mode is on normal, opacity set to 100, flow set to 100, align is checked, and current layer is checked. And next I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my square bracket key to increase and decrease my brush size according to the blemishes I want to remove. Now take note, if you want to remove a small blemishes like this, don't go and increase your brush size to a big brush like this to remove just a small portion of that blemishes. Instead, reduce your brush size to fit that blemishes right there. So like this works for me. I'm going to sample from a close by area by pressing on alternate on my keyboard or option if you're using a Mac, and just sample from a close by area and just paint over the blemishes to remove it like that. So alternate to sample and just remove like that. Now let me show you what I just did. So this is the before and this is the after. You can see those blemishes are no longer there. So alternate to sample and just remove the blemishes like that. Alternate to sample and just brush over the blemishes to remove your blemishes. Alternate to sample and just brush over. And you don't have to zoom in all the way I just zoom in like this. You can just zoom out a little bit and just remove the blemishes. So alternate to sample and just paint. Alternate to sample and paint. And by the way, make sure you're working on this high frequency copy right here, which is this first layer if you're using my action. Now for this line right here under the lips, I'm just going to zoom in and just sample and just paint to cover that line right there, because I feel it should not be there. So I'm going to sample and just paint over the line right there like so. Okay, so like this works for me. So let me quickly show you the before and after. So this is the before and this is the after. I'm going to continue doing this for the whole of the image. So basically remove the blemishes from this image. You can see I also did the same thing for the lips. So let me show you the before and after. So this is the before and the after. Look at the image, the before and the after. I also do the same thing for the eyes, the before and the after. So the key right here is to actually look at your image and take your time to actually remove the blemishes from your image. I know you're asking what next after we finish removing the blemishes for the image. The next thing we are going to do, we are just going to make the skin look smooth. And there are two ways you can actually make your skin smooth inside of Photoshop. Number one, you can use the micro dodge and burn, or you can use the mixer brush tool to actually smoothen out the skin. And for this tutorial right here, we are going to be using the focus separation mixer brush tool to actually smoothen out the skin. And if you want to learn how to use the micro dodge and burn to actually smooth out the skin, you can check out this video. I made an in-depth tutorial explaining how to use micro dodge and burn to smoothen out the skin. Now to smoothen out the skin, I'm just going to pick my mixer brush tool. Once I pick my mixer brush tool, make sure clean brush after each stroke right here is selected. And also, you can use my settings right here. My weight is on 30, my load is on 20, my mix doesn't really matter. You can use any number right there. While my flow is on 20, and sample all layer is checked. Now the reason why sample all layer is checked is because we are working on this brush shear layer. So if you want to use a mixer brush tool, make sure this brush shear layer is selected. Once you select this brush shear layer, just hide your high frequency texture right here. Once you hide it, click on this icon right here to hide it. Once you hide it, just zoom in. And if you want to brush, make sure you're brushing your highlight separately, your shadow separately, and your midtones separately. So I'm not going to brush on the highlights on the forehead separately like this. And make sure you are increasing and decreasing your brush size according to the parts of the image you're actually working on. And brush according to the shape of the face of the model. Alright? So I'm not going to brush on this image like this. I'm brushing the shadow separately. I'm brushing the highlights separately. And also for the transition, I'm just going to use a bigger brush tool to just brush on the transition between the highlights and the shadow. Just like that, just to smoothen out everything right there. Please do not brush your shadow into your highlight, or do not brush your highlights into your shadow, because if you do that, it's just going to make your image look bad and change the shape of the image. So let me quickly show you before and after what we just did so you can see. So this is the before, you can see, and the after. The before and the after. Now let me show you what will happen if you brush your shadow into your highlights or your highlights into your shadow. So I'm going to hide this high texture again. Pick my mixer brush tool. Now, if I just brush my shadow into my highlight like this, you are going to see it's just going to make the image look flat and lose shape. It's not going to look good at all. Okay, now you can see. So this is the before. Just take a look at the image. This is the before and the after. The before and the after. You can see the highlight on the cheek right there is no longer there because we brush shadow into the highlight. So it's not making the image look good. So the before and the after. Now, another advantage of actually working on this empty layer, which is this brush layer, is if you make a mistake like this, you can just pick your eraser tool and actually erase the mistake instead of deleting the whole frequency separation and starting all over from scratch. You can just erase anywhere you make a mistake and start for that particular place. Now, after I finish erasing it, I'm going to pick my mixer brush tool again. Once I pick my mixer brush tool, hide my high frequency texture layer like this. Once I hide it, I'm just going to brush the highlight separately, brush the shadow separately, and the midtones separately. And make sure you are always increasing and decreasing your brush size according to the portion of the image you're actually going to work on. If you want to work on a smaller portion, make sure you're using a small brush. If you want to work on a bigger portion, make sure you increase your brush. Okay, we're done. So let me quickly show you before and after. So this is the before and the after. The before and the after. You can see the skin is looking smooth and we still have textures on the skin. The before and the after. So I feel I made a little mistake here, so I'm not going to fix that. I'm going to pick my mixer brush tool again and just fix the mistake right here. Alright, okay, so the before and the after, looking so much better right now. And also, if you want to remove those hair right there on the mouth, you can just come back to your high frequency, pick your close stamp tool and just sample from a close by area and just paint on those hair right there on the mouth right there to remove it, just like that. So basically, observe your image, take your time, and just see what you want to fix and fix it. Oh, now I know how to remove blemishes and I also know how to smoothen out the skin. Now what's next? Now next what we're going to do is to actually do global dodge and burn. So global dodge and burn simply means making the brightest part of the image, which is the highlights, more bright, and also making the shadow more darker, just to add depth to the image. So to do that, just come back to my action right here. Come back to your action. If you can't find your action right here, come back to your windows and click on actions right here. Once you click on action, just come to Teelens dodge and burn right here. Once you just run that action, open the layer. Once you open the layer, I'm going to see the dodge, which means brightness. So just pick your normal brush tool. Once you pick your normal brush tool, make sure your foreground is set to white. If it's on black, just click on this place right here to change it to white. And if it's on another color, just click on this black and white right here to change it to default black and white. Alright, so once you pick your normal brush tool, make sure you're using a soft round brush, very important. Make sure your mood is set to normal, opacity is set to 100, set to 100, smoothness is set to 10, and just increase your brush size and just paint on the highlights part of the image like this. So just brush on any part you see on the highlights, just like this. Now I'm going to come to the burn, which means darken, and just do everything I did for the highlights for the shadow area like so. Alright, now this I'm going to do, I'm just going to come to my windows, come to properties. Once I click on properties right here, with the layer mask selected, you're going to see feather. So just feather it until it blends with that particular place right there. So like this works for me. And also I'll come to the dodge and I'll do the same thing for the dodge. Come to windows, come to properties right here and just move it inside like this. until I feel it's okay. So like this works for me. Now let's see the before and after. This is before global dodge and burn and after global dodge and burn. And if you feel the effect is too much, which I feel the effect of the dodge is too much, I'm just going to reduce the opacity like this, or you can reduce the overall opacity of the dodge and burn like so. Now for the next step, you don't need to ask me, let me just show you. Now the next step is to actually enhance the eyes. So just come back to your action and just click on eyes that it's whitening right here. Once you click on it, pick a normal brush tool, make sure your foreground is set to white, opacity set to 100, flow set to 100, zoom in on the eyes and just paint on only the white part of the eyes like so, and do the same thing for the other part of the eyes like that. Okay, so white brush to reveal and black brush to hide. Alright, so this is the before and this is the after. So basically that's skill retouching in 10 minutes. Click here to watch a detailed retouching tutorial. I'll see you guys in my next one. Stay creative.